That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
So this is Spider-Man: The Birth of Venom, which was something I've been wanting to read for a very long time. Venom's always been one of those characters where I've really liked him ever since I saw him as a kid. And it's so weird to me as an adult to know that he didn't show up until the 90s, because it just seems like such an obvious thing to do with Spider-Man, is give him a bigger, stronger bad guy version of himself. I mean, there's that version of the character for almost everybody in comic books. Green Lantern has Sinestro. Superman has Bizarro, or it's just everyone has something like that. Even Hulk eventually got, or Hulk has Abomination, so it's just kind of like an evil version that's bigger and stronger in some way, shape, or form than the original character. And it's done to varying degrees. It's done well and bad, and it's case by case basis. But in this, just the idea of creating Venom is a really cool thing. I love the alien costume. That's such a great idea. It's a little disappointing to find out that it just happens so by accident. Like, it's always been... I like the way that it was done in the Spider-Man animated series, wherein it came off the plane, or not the plane, the shuttle, after Spider-Man saved it, and he thought it was just river muck, and so he took it home to wash and stuff. But here he goes into a room to get a new costume. And it just turns out to be an alien. He uses the wrong machine, and it just gives him this symbiote alien costume. And it's whatever. It's kind of conceited. It takes up less than 2 pages of the book. But yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. That being the original origin. So I think if I had to rank them, I'd probably go original animated series being one of the best. I haven't seen it in Spectacular Spider-Man. I need to watch that show. So I'd probably say Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s, probably the best I've seen. Then I'd say the alien costume. Then I'd say Spider-Man 3, since it's like the most coincidental thing ever. Just meteor falls, and it happens to be the thing that can latch on to Spider-Man's powers. We don't explain that there's alien life. We don't even kind of deal with that part of things. So Spider-Man 3, like many things, near the bottom. What's worse? Ultimate Spider-Man. Watched that lately too. Been on a Spider-Man kick, like I said, and especially a Venom thing. So I watched a bit of Ultimate Spider-Man, and I like at least that they're building Venom up as a thing, but it's not very well handled. Like I said, I do want to watch Spectacular Spider-Man, because I've heard nothing short of great things about that show. To be fair, I like the animation in Ultimate Spider-Man a little bit better. I call Ultimate Spider-Man Spider-Man's New Groove, because they do the exact thing of Emperor's New Groove, where they stop and have the character narrate just for jokey bits. It's almost like straight out of New Groove. But anyway, Birth of Venom in and of itself. So let's be fair here. This almost should not be called The Birth of Venom. I went and got a hold of... I was looking at the comic shop while looking for this, and I found the Alien Costume Saga, and I realized a lot of it was the same issues, so I picked this up instead. But here's the divide. Alright? This section is all alien costume stuff. This is the stuff that's kind of related to Venom. And honestly, Venom he's in it, but it's sporadic. Very sporadically involved in this. So I was kind of disappointed by that side of things. There's also a very just drastic shift in tone. Obviously the writer changes. Good thing? One sec, sorry. Alright. obviously the writer changes in this between a lot of the alien costume stuff and when we start getting Venom. But it's, oh my god, it's like night and day, guys. There's this scene with Mary Jane. Okay, yeah, this page with Mary Jane right here where she starts to strip in their new apartment to get Peter in the mood while he takes pictures of her. Whatever, you guys do what you want. But, you know, just a couple chapters, issues earlier, we got Mary Jane, you know, pouring out her soul to Peter Parker in the park, where we find out about her history and just, you know, how her father abandoned them and all this stuff. It's really just this really heartfelt issue. Okay, so like here's the page where that happens, and here's the section of book where Mary Jane's pouring out her heart. And let's get to the end of where she's pouring out her soul to Peter Parker. Okay. So there's the sections of pages between Mary Jane tearfully pouring out her heart to Mary Jane stripping in an apartment. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with either of those things, particularly the latter, but it's just such a drastic shift in tone from writer to writer that it's really surprising. So honestly, I don't think that Birth of Venom is really the proper name for this, and I'll get to more of why later, but this is really condensed Alien Saga stuff with Venom in it, which is obviously kind of disappointing. But you could argue, of course, that the Alien Saga stuff is Venom's origin, and I agree. But if you're gonna call, it's only one side of the origin though. If you're gonna call something Birth of Venom, you need to show the Eddie Brock stuff, and the Eddie Brock stuff isn't in here at all. The first time you see Eddie Brock is when he's already been Venom. Like, hold on, I was just there. I should have kept the page. Sorry. Spider-Man gets rid of the costume. On page 224 is when the costume leaves. The next page is the next page over after we get the train scene with Venom. Well, we flip to the next page and Eddie Brock's already fused with the symbiote and on a vendetta against Spider-Man. We don't get anything of Eddie Brock hating Peter Parker or Spider-Man for that matter. So it just feels really out of nowhere when he shows up, and so the motivations for Venom comes entirely from the alien costume, the symbiote, and that's fine, but at the same time it's disappointing not to get both sides, particularly in such a thick volume. I mean, if you're already going to go this thick, what's 2 or 3 more issues? Because they explain what Peter Parker has done to piss off Eddie Brock in a couple issues. Like, they say what he did and stuff, but it's kind of hard to get through it without seeing it. One thing I guess I like about Spider-Man 3... Hold on a sec. I might as well grab it since we're sitting here talking about it so much. Spider-Man 3 is a movie with no end of issues, particularly when you look at the Venom stuff. I mean, I just explained one. We just don't even kind of address that there are fucking aliens in this universe. But, I mean, there's no end to the issues with this movie. But one of the things I think it did really well is build in Venom's origin in that, you know, he doesn't just... The symbiote doesn't just randomly attach itself to someone because it felt rejected and then go after Spider-Man. The person it attaches itself to is a victim of Spider-Man because of the symbiote. And that's really fascinating, really well-built stuff, you know. As poorly as Eddie Brock's motivations were handled in that movie, I do like the idea of giving him motivation against Spider-Man that isn't completely random and dependent upon himself. I like that part of it is Spider-Man's fault. Spider-Man in the Venom symbiote. That's a really good thing. This was the original source material, so obviously adaptation, you always have the advantage of getting to see what didn't work. But what's so weird about it is just this has the choice of what to collect, and it doesn't even feel the need to collect Eddie Brock's stuff. So I have to assume that stuff isn't going to help make it any better. Overall, I still like it, though. It's still fun to read, and I think it's important to read. If you like Venom, I think you should read this. It's just not as good as I'd hoped it would be. What else? Oh, one little detail I forgot to mention about this is, the Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows issue. There's this bit at the end here where MJ gives Peter the black costume again. And he says, MJ, I promised I'd never wear that again. And what I like about that is we go to the end here, toward the end rather, and here's MJ's line. I didn't mean to snap at you, Peter, but you're right, I am upset. Only it's not because of you, it's because of, well, that. After all we've both been through, I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable around that costume. And so Peter Parker takes off the black costume and throws it in the fire, and MJ gives him the red and blue costume. And in this, MJ tells him not to wear the red and blue costume, but to wear the black costume. So I like that detail, that it's calling back to that, and I'm kind of glad that I read this before reading this issue. And honestly, I didn't even know this was coming out this week, but I grabbed it anyway. That's a nice little turnaround to add these two together like that. Though I do like Spider-Man, giving up the black costume for it and everything, and there's a lot of good stuff in this. McFarlane's art toward the end of this is brilliant as always. I was a little disappointed that his art doesn't show up till the Venom stuff starts. That was kind of, bothersome. But I mean, to be fair, let's see, the alien costume goes away in issue 259 maybe. Hold on. The alien costume stuff ends permanently. Wait, I just had it, idiot. In issue number... They don't have the issue number. Oh, Web of Spider-Man number 1, which I'm assuming happened somewhere around issue 260 of Spider-Man. But then we go to the Venom stuff next, and that's, almost issue 300? Yeah, issue 300 or 299 is when the Venom stuff starts up, so... There's 30, 40 issues there, where the alien costume stuff seemed to be done and over with. So, obviously McFarlane, 30, 40 issues is a couple of years. That's at least 2 years. Well, no, that's at least 3 to 4 years, rather. So McFarlane might not have been on the book yet, but I was disappointed because I didn't know that. And you see a Todd McFarlane cover, and obviously you want to see Todd McFarlane art. And his stuff, when he does get a hold of this book, it is gorgeous. I love Todd McFarlane art. God, if that man could write, he would be unstoppable. It's cool stuff. I really like it. Otherwise, spaghetti webs, yay. Overall, though, this is still enjoyable. It's just, you gotta kind of check your expectations for it at the door. That's the only problem with it. And that's to be expected with some of these, historic runs, or at least important character introducing runs. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with it. It kind of just ends, which is weird. I love the ploy Peter Parker uses to get the symbiote to come back to him and to try to leave Brock, and that almost kills both Brock and the symbiote in doing so. But I don't know, it's kind of weird that it's like he just walks away from it and that's the end of it. Like, there really needs to be a bit of an epilogue. Which, hopefully that's what I'll get in Vengeance Venom, where we get Carnage introduced. I don't really know what to expect from Vengeance. Hopefully something a little better, though. That's all I'm really hoping for, is just to see something a little bit better than what we get here. Looks like McFarlane art to begin with, though. So I'm hoping that they now have had a little time to realize just how popular the character Venom was and to refine their writing. My expectations might already be too high. It was the 90s. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that'll be my trade talk for next week, hopefully. Maybe have to push back another week. We'll see what happens. I'm going out of town this weekend. Might not have a chance to read much of it. Spider-Man 3 is a movie you should not watch.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.